In the early 20th century, America called itself the land of freedom, but for millions of its own citizens, that freedom was just a word. Across the southern states, a cruel system of racial segregation known as Jim Crow controlled the lives of African Americans. It dictated where they could live, learn, eat, and travel. Every sign that read white only or colored was a constant, painful reminder that their dignity and humanity were being denied. It was into this deeply divided world that a future leader was born. Martin Luther King Jr. entered the world on January 15th, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was originally named Michael King Jr., just like his father. But a trip to Germany changed everything. His father, inspired by the Protestant reformer Martin Luther, decided to change both of their names. From then on, the young boy would be known as Martin Luther King Jr. Martin grew up in a loving and disciplined home, with the church at its very center. His father was a Baptist pastor who instilled in him a powerful sense of self-respect and courage. From a young age, Martin watched his father stand up to racism, refusing to accept disrespect. These early lessons in defiance and dignity shaped Martin long before he ever stood on a public stage. But the sting of segregation found him early. As a young boy, he was heartbroken when his white best friend was suddenly forbidden from playing with him. The reason? The color of his skin. Martin couldn't understand why that should matter. That childhood confusion sparked questions that would one day challenge a nation and change the course of history. Martin was an exceptional student, so bright that he skipped grades and entered Morehouse College at just 15. There, he dove into religion, philosophy, and ethics. Mentors like Dr. Benjamin Mays taught him that faith wasn't just about belief. It was a call to action, a responsibility to fight injustice. His intellectual journey continued at Crozer Theological Seminary and Boston University. It was during this time that he discovered the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance lit a fire in Martin's mind. He saw a powerful new way forward, a path to confront injustice without resorting to hatred and to win change without violence. In 1954, at Hoost, 25 years old, Martin became the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. He had arrived in a city where segregation was a brutal part of daily life. For black passengers, riding the bus meant sitting in the back and giving up your seat to a white person if told. This humiliation had been the law for decades, until one woman and one courageous act changed everything. On December 1st, 1955, a quiet seamstress named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated bus. Her arrest ignited a firestorm of outrage in the black community. Local leaders quickly organized a protest, one that would become famous around the world, the Montgomery Bus Boycott, and they chose the city's newest pastor, the young and charismatic Martin Luther King Jr., to lead it. For 381 grueling days, the black citizens of Montgomery refused to ride the buses. They walked 4 miles to get to work. They organized carpools. They endured harassment, arrests, and constant threats. The fight became deeply personal for King when his own home was bombed. But even as he stood before an angry crowd, he urged them to remain calm, famously saying, "We must meet violence with nonviolence." Their incredible determination paid off. In 1956, the United States Supreme Court declared that bus segregation was unconstitutional. The boycott was a victory. Martin Luther King Jr. was now a national symbol of peaceful resistance, but he knew the struggle was far from over. By 1963, King and the civil rights movement turned their attention to Birmingham, Alabama, one of the most violent and segregated cities in the entire country. The city's police chief, Bull Connor, met peaceful protesters with snarling dogs, high pressure, fire hoses, and mass arrests. King himself was thrown in jail. It was from his cell that he penned his powerful letter from Birmingham jail, arguing that waiting for justice that never comes is the same as denying it. The images from Birmingham of children being attacked by police dogs and knocked off their feet by water cannons were broadcast across the globe. The world was shocked. The brutality in Birmingham became a critical turning point, finally pressuring the federal government to take decisive action. Later that same year, the movement reached a historic peak. Over 250,000 people, black and white, gathered for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Dr. King delivered a speech that would echo through the ages. "I have a dream," he declared, his voice ringing with passion. A dream of a nation where his children would one day be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The speech captured the heart of the nation. In 1964, the landmark Civil Rights Act was passed, officially ending legal segregation in public places. To next year, after the horrific violence of Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law, securing the right to vote for millions of African Americans. That same year, Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his unwavering commitment to nonviolent change. But even with these monumental victories, King knew the fight for true equality was not won. He saw that legal rights meant little without economic justice. He began speaking out against the Vietnam War and started organizing the Poor People's Campaign, a new movement to fight poverty and economic inequality for all Americans. In April 1968, he traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to support sanitation workers who were on strike for better pay and safer working conditions. It was there, on a motel balcony, that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. He was only 39 years old. His sudden, violent death sent shockwaves of grief and anger across the world. But his dream did not die with him. Today, we remember Martin Luther King Jr., not for his power or his force, but for his profound moral courage. He proved that love could be a weapon against hate, and that peaceful resistance could bend the arc of history toward justice. His dream of a truly equal and just society remains an unfinished project, but it continues to inspire people everywhere to stand up for dignity, for justice, and for the simple, powerful idea that all of us deserve to be free. Thanks for watching. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video and subscribe for more.